What do you think?
I think we're dead meat. Real dead meat.
You're dead meat! Go ahead and laugh, you guys. If I ever find a little bastards that did this, they're dead meat.
Welcome to the Dead Meat Podcast, an extension of the YouTube channel Dead Meat. I'm James.
I'm Chelsea, and we're boyfriend and girlfriend, and we like to get scared together.
Yep, and also if you're watching this, yes, I shaved. It's not a big deal. Don't leave all the comments about it, all right? It's fine.
Mm-hmm. We're recording on a new sound recorder.
Yeah, changes in the air.
Yeah.
The New Year's on its way.
And so we decided, since it's getting close to New Year's and it's the holiday season, we wanted to, instead of doing a Christmas movie, we wanted to give ourselves a little present, or at least I wanted to give myself a little present, because we're going to review a movie this week that I have been wanting to see for years, but just haven't, because it was one of those things where I so badly wanted to see it that I almost didn't want to see it because there was this fear that it wouldn't live up to what I wanted it to be. We're watching House from 1977.
House.
It is, you can't just, it's hard to describe.
I've never seen a movie like this.
Yeah. I think,
While watching it, I was like, okay, this is, I've watched a lot of movies, a lot of weird movies.
right.
This one stands alone.
Yeah. And while we're kind of still talking about giving gifts to yourself, I stick around to the end of the episode. We're going to open this at the end.
Oh, okay.
This is James. We have James's prize from
I won. I
last
earned it.
week. Yeah, from Guess the Kill.
Mm-hmm.
It's the slider puzzle. I ordered it to be gift wrapped. It was not gift wrapped.
Nope.
But it was included. It did include the slip that said this is a gift with my little note. So
So it's basically, hey, thanks for the money.
thanks
but
for
fuck
your
you.
$5. So you know what? That's great. That's fine. That's in line with just all of everything that episode involves. Yeah. So yeah, we'll open that after we talk about House. But
And this is not, there's another house.
There is another
that I
house
was familiar with. I
with-
didn't know this one.
who was in it? George Wendt.
George Wendt, a.k.a.
Isn't it?
Norm from Cheers.
Yeah.
That's mostly what I know him for. I don't know what else he's in, but
Yeah.
everyone's done a horror movie, so that was his. And that's also like a cult classic.
It is.
People like it. Weirdly enough, I think the first one isn't out on Blu-ray yet, but the second one, House 2, The Second Story, is on Blu-ray. So I've got that. But,
Weird.
yeah, I don't know. That's the one that I knew. I didn't really know this one. I guess you could probably say I have a blind spot in foreign cinema for horror movies.
This movie's also pushing the line in terms of what horror is, I think.
Sure.
This is kind of, you're starting to move into art film.
Oh yeah,
And
fantasy.
film school kids, I feel
Yeah.
like, love this movie. This is very, art house kind of, but not boring art house. Don't think this is a boring movie. This is
there's nothing boring about
There's
this.
nothing boring about House. It is just balls to the wall crazy. This movie came out in 1977 in Japan.
That's so early. That's Star
And-
Wars.
Yeah, and the distribution rights were not available in the United States until 2009, I think. So I saw a trailer for this at this like theater on our college campus. If you go to University of Michigan, you know the State Theater. They show a lot of cult movies. They have midnight screenings. So I was at a midnight screening and they showed a trailer for House because they got the rights to screen it. And I'd never heard of it before. Most people hadn't, here at least. And I just couldn't stop thinking about it. And I wasn't able to go to one of the State Theater screenings, but it's been one that I've wanted to see for years and just haven't. I think because I wanted it to be right, you know?
Yeah.
Because it just looked so fun and so good and just like such a movie I would love, that I wanted it to be.
Yeah, go ahead and just watch the trailer for this.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
insane.
There's a trailer on the Criterion Collection's
Which
YouTube.
is the Blu-ray that we got and watched.
Yeah. And that's, again, how you also know that we're starting to move into art house, because it's a Criterion movie.
Yeah.
But again, don't let that...
I think they have some bullshit, though. I think they have like a Michael Bay movie.
They've put a few
Like Armageddon or
questionable
some
things
shit,
in the
yeah.
Criterion Collection. Yeah, where it's like, all right, let's calm down. This movie was a big cult movie in the 70s
and
and onward. a lot of directors in Japan, modern day directors who were like kids when this came out, cite this movie as a big influence on them. And that's something that the director is apparently really proud of. There's a really good interview with him in the Criterion
And
Blu-ray.
it's Nobuhiko Obayashi.
Yeah.
Okay.
So our episode about this, I think, is going to have to be a little different than the way we do. The way we
I
do,
stopped taking notes 10 minutes
Yeah,
in.
because our notes, if we just did what we normally do and did like a recap of the movie, it would just sound like we're doing Mad Libs because it gets so crazy.
It'd be like fingers play the piano and then she catches on fire.
It's just a lot of weird shit.
So
what
fucking
we'll do
insane.
is we'll talk about the plot and we'll talk about weird things that happen in it. But I learned a lot about why this was made, because if you've seen this movie and if you haven't, just like go watch it. We always say that, but stop the podcast, go watch the movie. This is a movie that is great if you go into it not knowing anything about it. And I know that potentially tanks our numbers if I make everyone stop listening to go watch a movie, but you know what? I'm doing it for art.
I did the same thing with Suspiria.
Yeah. So if you've seen this, one of the things you come out of it wondering is, how the fuck did this happen? How did this get made? Why did this get made? Why did such a big studio make this? If you know anything about Japanese film, Toho is huge. Something that's fun knowing going into this is that the story by credit of this film, if you look and it's like the screenplay or story by credit, is to Chigumi Obayashi, who is an 11-year-old girl, or was at the time of the movie being made. It's the director's daughter, but that's what we're working with here. It's great.
Also, I guess if we're butchering these names, our apologies.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not well steeped in Japanese culture like some of our friends. Looking at you, Beth.
Yeah, I don't.
Wish you were here.
I tried. It is great how I can spend a week researching stuff and I have like all the names in my head sound great, and then as soon as I try to say them out loud, it's very bad. Let's give a synopsis of what the movie is.
Okay.
And kind of what it's like. You can do you want to describe?
Sure, yeah, I'll give it a shot.
Yeah, you can
I'll give it the old college try. Basically, you got 7 are they high school age girls?
I would say they're high school, yeah.
Okay. So they're 7 high school aged girls, and they each have a name that's like a trait. The main one is gorgeous.
Do you remember all of them?
I think I can do it. Okay. Gorgeous and fantasy are like the main ones. Then I would say kung fu is probably the next most prominent. She was my favorite. She kicked ass.
She's cool, yeah.
Yeah. Mac. Sweet. Okay.
You're missing my favorite. Last one.
Oh yeah. And I got 2 more left.
Oh yeah, there are 2 more.
So there's Mac. There's Sweet.
I know which
Melody.
Melody, yeah.
Who's not your favorite?
She's not my favorite. I love them all. But
Yeah, sure. And the last one would be, oh shit. It's always hard to get the last of a set, you know?
Yeah.
Uh
You're missing such an archetype, I think. You know, if you just think like, okay, stereotypical group of friends, you're missing such a big one.
oh no. Oh shit, dude.
I'm trying to think. Okay, so trios like Alvin and the Chipmunks, and I'm trying to think of other famous. I'm trying to think who would be the Simon of Rush. I don't know.
That's definitely Getty. Or no, I'm sorry, Neil.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Neil
I think
Peart.
Neil. Yeah,
I was
going
gonna
to
say the drummer he's the drummer, right?
Simon.
Neil
Isn't he
Peart.
the nerdy one? Neil
Yeah.
Peart's the drummer. Yeah.
Right, but I'm saying is
Yeah,
he the okay, yeah.
he's the Simon. I think. He's a
Okay,
big old
yeah,
nerd. Yeah.
And then if the Chipettes
Oh,
is
what?
there's a Chipette with glasses. I'm realizing it's not a great example because all I can think of is the Chipmunks and the Chipettes. Isn't that what they're called?
Oh, I cheated. I looked at my notes.
Yeah,
Professor.
the nerd, the smart one, the nerdy
yeah.
one. You always have that one. I like her a lot because she
She's
talks.
your favorite?
I don't know. I think because I was that friend in high school.
Okay.
Like that was my role in our group. Was I wore glasses and was a big know-it-all. And I like that she talks and puts her finger up when she talks.
Oh yeah, like it's a discovery.
I love it.
Okay, so these 7 girls, go to Gorgeous's aunt's house, who she had only met once before. Gorgeous's mom is dead. Her dad is trying to marry a new woman, and she don't like that. So she runs off with her friends to visit her aunt after writing to her and being like, can I come there with my friends? And her aunt is like, yes, you may come here. I will sit in my wheelchair with my cat, Blanche. The cat is awesome.
Yeah. Oh, guys, there's such good cat acting in this. Really good, top-notch actor cat.
In fact, we're not going to be able to put too many clips in here because they're in
the movie's in Japanese, obviously.
So listeners wouldn't understand, but there is a wonderful song featuring cat meows, which you'll hear now. Wasn't that great?
Yeah.
So that's what you have to look forward to. The 7 girls go to the aunt's house, and I got a real 7 dwarfs feel here because they start cleaning her place and helping her out.
Yeah, I was trying to think how, because they all have very 7 dwarfs-ish kind of names.
Yeah, exactly.
And I was trying to piece together how that all fits, because there are a lot of weird fairy tale story tropes going on in this. There's
it's a witch.
Yeah,
the aunt's a witch, and she ends up eating them.
And you have the stepmother that the main girl hates, and feels betrayed by her dad marrying some new lady.
Yeah.
And
but yeah, the aunt ends up starting to eat these kids one by one, and she's getting stronger and more lively while it happens. But the house is also haunted, kind of, and the cat is a witch, and that's it. That's the story.
That's the story.
Good luck.
It's so much more than what it sounds, though.
There's stop motion things. There's animated stuff.
Guys, someone gets so scared in this movie that they turn into a pile of bananas.
They do, yeah. After another guy turns into an animated skeleton.
Yeah. It fucking rules. This movie's awesome. It is one of the most colorful movies you'll ever see. The use of color in it is just, I was going to say bananas, like that guy. Do we want to go through kind of where Japan's at this point?
Sure.
Do you want to talk more about the movie?
This is going to be you learning me because you're the one who did all the research.
I did.
I just sat there and edited my stupid little kill count videos while you were learning about cool stuff.
It actually really brought back, I was relearning stuff because as I was taking notes, I realized, oh my God, I learned so much of this in our contemporary cinema class. I don't know if you took that one at Michigan. It was a history class.
I took a bunch of the history.
But I was remembering, oh yeah, I learned that in this class and just forgot all of it until now. Cool. The 1970s in Japan, just like pretty much everywhere else, we see this in America, and we talked about it a lot on our gimmicks episode. In the 70s, cinema attendance just tanks because of TV. Yeah. And so, people have TV in their homes, and as a result, and this is why we get really fucked up horror movies in the 70s, same thing in Japan, we start to see increased violent and sexual content in films. One of the big production companies trying to drive people to the theaters in Japan is Toho, we mentioned earlier, and this is a studio probably most famous for their baby.
Obviously, that's how I know them.
Godzilla. And I think if you've watched any Miyazaki movies, I think they show their logo on those.
Oh, do they? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, they're huge. They're, an equivalent of Fox or Universal, so they're big. They, besides Godzilla, they do a ton of other stuff. So the big studios are looking at what movies are making money in America around this time. And since American cinema is having the exact same issues that Japan's having with revenue loss, again, because just TV has taken over the world. If you've been listening to the podcast and paying attention, you can probably guess what film Toho decided they needed to emulate to succeed.
It's Jaws.
It's Jaws. So Toho decides, all right, we need to make a movie that's like Jaws. And not necessarily a movie that's plot-wise like Jaws or style-wise. Specifically, it's more like the formula of an amateur auteur making a huge budget movie, because Jaws was like a huge budget. They gave it so much money. That's why
It
it's
was
the
only
first
like
blockbuster.
25, 20. Oh man.
That's why it's the first. It's the first movie like movies we make now, where it's these super expensive, big blockbuster movies. But they also in turn make a ton of money. So that's how this trend gets started. But yeah, so that's what they see that formula. So it's like an unknown making this huge budget movie that's broadly entertaining. Like it can entertain a very broad audience. Like Jaws is pretty broad. It's not too horror so that it's like critically recognized, and it's not too violent. So it's like you have a large span of people that are coming to the theaters to see it. And again, that's why it makes so much money. Toho approaches commercial director Nobuhiko Obayashi.
Yeah, it's funny when you watch that Criterion trailer for this. It says, from acclaimed TV ad director.
Oh, yeah. And he was huge. And again, just a reminder, if you haven't watched the trailer, go do that now. And then come back and remember, Toho is trying to make a movie. It's like Jaws.
Yeah, right.
They want their Jaws.
Where did things go wrong?
I love it. I love it so much. The story of this movie's great. And I'm glad we're spending so much time with like how it got made versus what the actual movie is, because you should just go watch it.
Yeah, and also it's just a fucking fever dream. There's no point for us to go through how the watermelon turns into a decapitated head that bites a girl on a butt.
Yeah.
Her butt, not a butt.
Yeah. So Obayashi he came from an amateur art background, and he'd screen his films in event halls and art spaces. So think like, I don't know, I always think of the Andy Warhol factory people where they're all just hanging out and watching movies. They're projecting on walls and being really cool.
Yeah.
That's what I imagine him doing growing up. So in his interview on the Criterion DVD, it's not a DVD. I still say DVD.
Yeah.
Whatever.
I'm sure they have a DVD.
Yeah. The people in his kind of sphere, his social sphere, they all turn their noses up at commercial directing. But he jumped right in when he's offered the chance, because commercials right now are huge because, again, TV. So all the money that was being put into movies is just being moved into commercials because that's what people are inevitably watching on TV.
Like the I'm a Pepper commercials with David Naughton.
Were those really expensive to make?
Probably not, but they're great.
Yeah.
They're really good. I don't know. They had big song and dance numbers. Maybe they cost money.
I'd like to give the world a Coke.
There you go.
Okay, I'm just going to say right now that there was a jump cut in this podcast because we said a Mad Men spoiler, and one of our best friends is watching it, and we know she listens to this podcast every week.
Sorry,
on her
Liz.
drive to
Or
work.
I guess not sorry.
So we edited out the spoiler for you, Liz. Okay. Sorry. Okay, so there's no budgets in film at this time, and so he's just happy to be given the chance to direct something with money. He's like, whatever, I can still kind of express myself through a commercial. Even though it's a commercial, the chance to film something beautiful with a bunch of money is amazing. That's like the dream to do. So he has no issue with it. And he'd also already found some success with his short film Emotion, which was big at universities and kind of in the art film circuit. And I think is still, like, if you're taking Japanese cinema, that's a short film you would maybe expect to see in class, or that maybe would come up in your repertoire, your syllabus. So Toho's like, okay, please give us the idea for this movie. They're not saying like, we want you to direct this.
Do they give him anything, or they're just like, make us Jaws. Make us Jaws.
Make us Jaws go.
Here's house.
And they're like, you're going to be our Spielberg, give us this movie. And again, they don't want
no pressure.
No pressure. They're like, they don't want him to direct. They just want him to give them a script.
Oh.
Yeah. So he's not attached to direct yet.
But they want an auteur to
I'm not sure. And also the thing is, like, he isn't a Toho director. They're like big studio where they have a stable of directors, and he's not. Sure. And that was a big part of the reason. They're like, we can't have you direct because you're not one of our guys, but we want this idea to come from you because you're this you get this artist who also understands.
Yeah, you're a creative guy.
Success.
Give us something creative and money.
So Obayashi turns to his 11-year-old daughter, and he explains, and I love this a lot because I totally get what he's saying, is that adults aren't going to be able to think outside the box. And he's so right, because he says, if you go to a studio and they're like, okay, successful shark movie. What can we do? Oh, I've got it. A successful bear attack movie.
Or
and
Piranha.
Make that. Exactly.
Sorry, Joe.
But you see what I mean? It's like, okay, this formula, like copy, paste, change a few things, done. That's such an adult way of thinking. Whereas a kid's way of thinking is just on another level that we, like as adults, just don't get, we grow out of. So he asked his daughter to pitch him ideas for this movie. And she comes up with all these ideas of things that are scary to her that she kind of pulls from real life. And she's on the Criterion interview too.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. So she's like, oh, Dad, it'd be cool if, and she comes up with the ideas for the mirror. If your reflection attacked you, that's kind of scary. The futons attacking the girl. Remember when the, I think it's Sweet, is looking for the bedding and she gets attacked by all the feather mattresses.
Yeah.
Because she would go and stay, I think they slept on futons at their house and she would imagine them like eating her. And the girl in the clock, because there was a
Sweet again, right?
Yeah, there was a big clock at her I think her grandfather's house that she was really afraid of because it was really big and loud. And same with the watermelon head in the well, because when she was at her grandfather's house, that's how he stored water. He was like, oh, we'll keep it cool, we'll like tie a rope on it
crazy.
and throw it in this well. And also the piano.
Nice.
The fingers in the piano, because she was taking piano lessons at the time apparently, and it was really stressful. And I guess during one lesson her fingers got caught between the keys, and so from then on it became a thing where she was so afraid to play the piano and she felt like she was going to get her fingers like bitten off by it or something. So she came up with that. So he's like, all right, cool. And he takes all of her crazy ideas and he adds the character of the aunt and her backstory. And the aunt is the one who owns the cat, Blanche. The aunt is such a fun character. I love her so much. I love her performance. Like, she's just really fun to watch.
I think my favorite moment is when she's eating the watermelon and she like, in fantasy is the only one who has seen that shit's weird at that point. And she like, it's like, shows fantasy the eyeball in her mouth. It's so creepy.
That's such a creepy moment. The aunt's story in this, just to summarize briefly, she was engaged right before World War II to a guy who he got drafted before they ever got married, and he died during the war. Mm-hmm. And so she has been waiting for him all these years because he promised he would come back. And so she's just been in this house waiting for him to come back. And there's a brief shot of like the atomic bomb going off in the movie where like they're explaining the aunt's backstory, and there's a few really quick shots of the atomic bomb, and that's it. Weirdly, just there's that really quick mention of it, but apparently that's a ton of the subtext of this movie is the bomb, because Obayashi grew up in Hiroshima. He's from there, and apparently like all of his childhood friends died in Hiroshima.
Jesus.
So his subtext that he puts in this movie and his more kind of substantial, like a grown-up plot that he puts in here, is that the aunt is a character who resents these girls who show up to her house because they're all young and they didn't live through the war and they haven't had anything taken from them, and they all just take it for granted. So like they show up and she just super resents them because she has had her love taken away. So it's this woman who just like has become a monster who feeds off of them because it's just such jealousy and envy. And I guarantee that that's something like someone like him feels towards younger people. I'm sure that that's a big generational divide. Again, I don't know much about Japanese culture, but I'm not surprised at all that this is present in a film made by someone this age and at this time. And even before we watched this movie together, I was like, oh, I'm going to want to research this movie because I bet, it was made in 1977. That's the kids of World War II grown up and they're making stuff. Like, surely there's going to be something about that in here, and there is. I'd be surprised if there wasn't, but his interview about it is really interesting. And that's, again, why the movie is kind of told from the perspective of a kid with, like, all of his daughter's weird ideas, and the special effects are super weird, really fake looking, is he wanted them to be effects that a kid could feasibly do in camera, and they look kind of shitty, and
A lot of stuff
yeah.
that's keyed out. There's like a lot of like outlines around the effects of like the blue. Even aside from just the special effects, just some of the backdrops and the backgrounds are very obviously giant matte paintings. Or like
they look fake.
They're backgrounds that don't even cover the whole frame. I'm thinking when they get off the bus when they're first going there, they're like standing in front of just like a partial background.
Oh yeah, I mean I think that's like a visual joke. I think
like a bus. It's a bus stop.
Yeah,
but still, it kind of fucks with you. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
like their sense of reality so weird. Looking at this really fucked up world through the eyes of a kid, which is what he experienced growing up, is like living through a really fucked up time and watching that happen as a kid. So I think when you start to really dig into that, like this movie's super weird and at times it does just feel like a bunch of random shit happening. But I think once you listen to what he has to say about it and you start really going through the movie scene by scene, you realize there's thought put into this. And it is also, I don't mean to make it sound like this is secretly a really serious movie, because it's not. It's really fun and funny. And he even said making it was super fun and like was super chill, so, but there is, again, it's that subtext has to be there for it to be a movie, instead of just stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he pitches this idea to screenwriter Chiho Katsura, and Katsura writes up the script, and they're thinking this is never gonna get made because they know it's super weird. Like they know writing this that it's a crazy movie. And they even call it house, which is an English word, which you don't do in...
Oh, it's just straight up called house. That's not like a translated title?
Just house.
All right.
Yeah, so they're like, fuck it, we'll just name it this and we'll go the extra step of just like making it this thing that can't ever be made. I think they were like, whatever, we'll see what happens. They submit it and they're expecting months of deliberation before hearing we're not making it. It gets greenlit in 3 hours.
What the fuck?
Even he does not know how that happened, but apparently they read it and are like, wow, this is genius. You're our young genius. It's incredible. We're making it.
Oh, he must have sent it to them during their corporate retreat where they all took those drugs.
Yeah.
He must have just gotten lucky with that.
Yeah, no kidding.
This is genius.
It was perfect. It's just like Jaws. So none of the directors at Toho want to do it because they all read it and they're like,
they were sober.
This is crazy. We're not doing this. And again, it's like a studio thing. So if none of the directors there want to do it, it's kind of fucked. Like it's just in development limbo because they can't just bring in a random dude to do it. Mm-hmm. Studios. Obayashi is still like, he's leaping at the chance. He wants to do it and they keep saying no. So he goes ahead and designs a poster for the movie, which everyone hates. But it actually is awesome. It's not the one with the cat. It's the one that, if you watch the movie, I think the end credits are like playing over it. It's like the house with the big tongue coming out of it.
Okay.
So he designs that poster and puts it on cards and stuff, like business cards. And he just starts promoting the shit out of this movie that doesn't exist with his name attached. And he was like, well, can I tell people that Toho is going to make this eventually? And they're like, yeah, sure, whatever. So then, which is like such a dumb thing to tell him because he's like, great. So he starts pushing it with his name attached. And so House, because of all this weird underground buzz, before the movie's ever made, House is made into a novel, a manga, a soundtrack, and a radio drama that was super popular.
Are they similar to the plot of the movie?
Uh-huh.
Oh. Mm-hmm. How? Were they based on the script? Or?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
The movie had
How do you make a radio drama out of this movie that's like so just visual? Mm-hmm. I can't imagine.
I don't know. I would listen to it, but it's in Japanese, so.
Oh, yeah, they'll do it.
Yeah. But yeah, this movie had the soundtrack before it existed.
What fucking sound? That's my biggest complaint about this movie.
Okay, well, we're going to talk about the composers, though.
Okay.
Hold on.
I'm waiting to hear because it's just the same fucking theme over and over and over and over again, except for when Kung Fu is kicking ass. She gets her own little, like, crime-fighting theme. It's the only thing I hated. It was so repetitive.
Interesting.
It was so repetitive.
Okay, so Toho finally, I think this is 2 years later.
Wow.
they give in because of all this hype, because people want this movie so bad, and they let Obayashi direct. He goes to bring on a composer, Issei Kobayashi. I am probably pronouncing that first name wrong. So he gets involved, and this would also be his first big thing that he's composing. Did you read ahead?
I did.
It's so fucking funny.
That's a composer, that
Yes.
guy?
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. So he's like, all right, this is gonna be my first big feature I'm composing. So he's taking it super seriously, as you would. And he's reading this script, and it makes sense to me that if you're a composer and you read a script, you have your own movie in your head, because everyone's interpretation of a script is different. So his interpretation is, oh, this is like a serious movie, and I'm going to score it like a serious movie. And he is so not on board with anything but like, we're making this serious soundtrack for this film. And Obayashi's like, well, horror movies all tend to have, they have really good serious soundtracks that take themselves seriously. Sure, go like make your serious music for this movie. The composer did not want this to be a silly film, but he eventually plays the watermelon guy.
Who's very silly.
Which he's one of the weirdest fucking parts of this movie if you've seen it. They like, when they show up to the aunt's house, there's this guy at a watermelon stand.
I guess he plays that like harbinger archetype.
Yes.
He's like, oh, there's the house, but things are gonna get bad for you.
He is the Japanese equivalent of the people in Texas Chainsaw Massacre. They meet at the gas station.
Yeah, or the cabin in the woods has that guy.
He's this guy, and he's a living cartoon character.
He's the one who turns into a skeleton.
He turns into a skeleton, animated skeleton, yeah. And then the other guy gets so scared he turns into banana.
But this is a very serious movie.
Very serious picture. All the other actresses in this were amateur actresses, except two, Gorgeous and the Aunt. They were like already working actors, but all the other girls were they were models that Obayashi knew from doing commercials. So while he was working on commercials, he was kind of secretly casting this thing in his head. So he reached out to them.
It did, yeah, because it was over the course of 2 years.
He talks about, he's like, 2 years of pre-pro is insane, and I used every second of it. You never, ever are given that much time to pre-produce anything. That's so unheard of. So he used that time to his advantage. The Aunt was a legit actress, like, what's her name? Yoko Minamida. She was like an established person and really good friend of Obayashi's. And so this movie's a big deal for her because Obayashi says, this is from his Criterion thing, he says once an actress plays a mother, she'll never play a young woman again, which I think we're getting better about, but that's kind of true. And especially, he says, especially in Japan around that time. So this is a big deal for her because of the stigma that if you're playing an older woman on camera, the audience is never going to be able to like deal with you playing younger ever again.
Yeah, I never thought about that, but I guess that's true.
Yeah. And I think that's total. I feel like that still rings true today.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like if you're on screen, like, okay, I wonder if a good example is even Jennifer Lawrence. Like, she's played so many roles where she's a grown-ass lady, and I feel like it'd be so weird to watch her play a movie where she's in college.
Well, yeah. Well, how old is she?
She's my age. She's younger than me.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, maybe, I don't know. Maybe that was a bad example, but she always plays so much older than she is.
She does, yeah. Especially, like, I mean, American Hustle was, 4 years ago?
4 years
and she was playing, like, a kind of a almost middle-aged person. It was weird.
Yeah, for sure. So she decides to do it. She decides to do this movie, and yeah, they were really good friends until her death, I think a couple years ago-ish. But yeah, she said in general, this movie was just hanging out with buds. It was like a great time, apparently, which I found so refreshing because often you read about like, all right, this movie was kick-ass, let's learn about how it was made, and everyone was like, this was the worst fucking time of my life. I was miserable and wanted to die the whole time on set. Evil Dead.
Oh god,
this movie's very comparable to Evil Dead, I think. Oh, why your face?
I'm just processing that.
I mean, the splatter, there's so much gore, splatter, and crazy like whiplash camera.
Yeah.
And Peter Jackson movies too, I
Oh,
feel
God.
like are in the same kind of, you get that. I mean, this is a bit more stylized than a Raimi movie. Raimi movies feel a lot dirtier, or Evil Dead at least feels like more disgusting than this. But you still get the weird, it just feels like anarchy, you know?
Yeah.
That's like the vibe I get from all of
Sure,
those
there you
movies.
go. That anarchy is good.
Yeah, so compared to Evil Dead's like I guess miserable shooting
One of the
atmosphere, this
worst.
apparently was chill as fuck. Everyone had like a really good time, and I guess crew members were like, "This is why I love movies," because they've just been working on all this studio shit where it sucks, and all the crew really came to respect him one day when he unknowingly referred to one of them by their name, and it like made this dude cry because the directors never referred to him by name on set. So I guess it just like it became like a very casual set that didn't have the feelings of like really stiff
that's
studio.
fun.
Yeah, so I loved hearing that because
Did you hear anything about the girls? Were they taken care of?
I think one of the girls who had to get naked for a scene. I feel like that's part of the reason you're asking, because it's like they're young and we see some nudity in this. I guess that the actress who plays the aunt, on a day where they were shooting where one of the younger actresses had to get naked, also got naked with her and was like, "You're an actress and you're bearing your soul, and you can do it when you have clothes on, but if you have your clothes off, you're like truly acting, and it's whatever." Although this one scene they filmed, it's from the end, I think it's Prof is like, she gets dissolved in water when she falls in.
Yeah.
And that's like a really long nude scene that I remember. But yeah, she like slowly dissolves. I guess that was done by, she was suspended in midair and had blue paint dumped all over her so they could chroma key it out.
Oh, wow.
Right.
Okay.
I just, like, was that fun or was that terrible? I have no idea. It sounds like it'd be fun. But that was part of the like purposely fake effects and experimentation going on. And a lot of shit he said they just came up with on set. Like, oh, it'd be cool if we did this. Oh, it'd be cool if when the mirror broke, her reflection, we could use the little broken pieces to make mats and then make her face slowly, like piece by piece, catch on fire. Like they just came up with that. 'Cause they're like, that would look cool. Yeah, okay. Just anarchy. Anything goes. No storyboards made for this film.
Oh, Lord.
I can't imagine shooting without story. If I'm making a movie, not having storyboards.
Yeah.
This is the total opposite of a Hitchcock shoot.
Mm-hmm.
Hitchcock, and apparently Clint Eastwood too, is like Hitchcock style, pre-produce the shit out of it.
Just every shot storyboarded exactly how they want.
I've heard working on a Clint Eastwood movie because he filmed. It was a fucking
Gran Torino,
Michigan. I heard working on that was great.
Cool.
Because he storyboards the shit out of everything, and if you're such a heavy pre-producer, people on set are like, great. Everyone knows what they're doing, you know?
Yeah, I tried to be that way in film school, but I'm an awful artist. I can't draw worth shit. So like I had like 7 pages of storyboards, but they were all stick figures with horrible perspectives drawn in.
Yeah. Yeah, and then it's like, this isn't helping.
I think that's actually exactly how Sam Raimi is, because I think he would storyboard each shot, but then you talk to the like the DPs and the
like,
effects works, and they're like,
am I looking?
Sam, those are stick figures. That doesn't help me.
Yeah.
So I guess I'm just like Sam Raimi then.
Sure. Yeah. The crew working on this knows this movie's batshit crazy.
Except the composer.
Except the composer, apparently.
I want to clarify that the theme is fine, but it's short and they play it over and over and over and over again.
You hear it a bunch.
Yeah, like nonstop.
This movie is a commercial flop. It does so badly. But it's a cult hit, like immediately. I guess kids loved this movie because the daughter said when she was going to school, all the other kids were like, your dad made a really crazy movie, and they all loved it.
Like 11-year-olds?
Yeah, and she was like the coolest
Or maybe
kid in
they'd be like
school.
early teens by the time it was made.
Exactly, yeah. I think she'd be like 13, 14. But they're all
Okay,
like,
I
oh
could
man,
see
this
that.
movie kicks ass. It's
Yeah.
so weird. Critics apparently had no idea how to review it.
Yeah, neither do we.
Yeah, we don't either. This episode, I don't even know. We've barely talked about the actual movie. because it's like, how do you
Just go fucking watch it.
how do you talk about it? But yeah, so this kind of reception is the opposite of what the studio wants. They want a big commercial hit that is like popular right now in this moment, not a cult hit that's going to be put in the Criterion Collection 30 years later.
We want Jaws, not Eraserhead.
Exactly. Oh my God, that's actually a really good comparison. Some felt this was the end of Japanese cinema. Honestly, oh man, that's such the dream to make a movie where people are like, this is the end of American cinema.
Yeah.
God,
That'd be amazing.
that's the
You know
fucking
what? I
dream.
think Transformers came pretty close.
Yeah. Yep. Obayashi cited one review, quote, "This is not a film," unquote. He has like such a good sense of humor when he talks about this too.
That's great.
Because he is really proud of it. He's proud of this movie. You can tell how much he loves this movie and is like, this is his baby. I was curious before I researched this if this was a case where the director is like, oh my God, I'm so sick of talking about this one thing I did that's super weird and everyone's obsessed with for some reason. But he's like, no, this movie's great and I'm happy with it. I'm proud of it. And he's proud of it because again, he made this movie that's like through the eyes of a child and is a very youthful point of view. It's a movie that young people liked.
I get it. Yeah.
Yeah,
You watch
for
it, it's
sure.
like, oh, this is what movies can be.
Yeah,
Or, like, this
it's
is
so
what
much
you can
fun.
do. Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
I said this, I think during our cam review, but it's one of those movies where it's like, guys, colors exist and they're
Yeah.
really cool to use and stuff. We're so afraid of color, more colors and things. Mandy's really good. Uses color a lot. Lots of colors in that. Director Ty West
Yeah.
is on the Criterion Blu-ray. He did You're Next.
No, he's in Your Next.
Oh shit.
So he was literally just talked about in the
In
last
our-
episode.
he was in our last
He was one of those
episode, yeah.
kills that I had to guess.
So Ty West is on the Criterion Blu-ray and he does it's like a 3-minute long bit where he just talks about this movie and he right away is like, this is one of the weirdest movies I've ever seen. I don't know how to talk about like that's the thing is if you ask anyone who's seen it to talk about it and you can't, it's just so much.
It's a lot.
That's something I
what to
ran
say.
into when I was Googling it is articles about this were like, you just have to watch it because it's so weird. But yeah, so this is a horror director who says it's one of the weirdest things he's ever seen, if that's a big enough endorsement for you.
You can't just sit back and take it in. You're kind of on the edge of your seat looking at it because it's unlike anything you've seen before, and it makes you think and it makes you like question, like, is it funny, is it scary, and you have to really come up with your own opinion on it because the movie's so extreme, it really forces you to do that. Whereas other lowest common denominator stuff, you know what it's supposed to be because it's only supposed to be one thing, and I think that's something that this movie does very well.
I think that's something I value a lot in movies too, is not even like, are they a masterpiece? All right, fine, but like, are they doing stuff that I've never seen before? That's like a thing I really value. Like, is it truly crazy and am I having an experience watching it?
Definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm trying to think.
That's why we don't do like the scale ratings or letter grades
like
of
numbers,
movies,
like out of
because you
10.
can't like
Yeah,
how
fuck
do you
that.
letter grade this? I mean, obviously A+, but like you know,
Yeah.
movies are more complicated than that.
Than just like a single
Yeah.
quantifiable rating.
Yeah.
What are some of your favorite parts?
Oh God. Obviously the cat song is really, really good.
Yeah, let's hear that again. So good.
It's
So
really good. That whole sequence I think was my favorite because she's dancing. The aunt is dancing with a skeleton. The skeleton who
He's
is alive and
conducting
just
the piano.
there's a
playing.
skeleton that just is in this. I don't think we ever really figure out who it is.
No.
I think it's just because the grandpa who lived in that house was a doctor. And I think maybe that was just I don't know, like a skeleton that just hung out in there. I don't know. But I love that whole thing. I love the part where she crawls into the fridge and disappears, and then she
Yeah,
reappears
in
right
the
in front of the
foreground.
camera and like breaks the fourth wall.
She
and
does break
smiles.
the fourth
It's
wall
so
twice, I
creepy.
think.
The whole bus ride to the aunt's house because it's so colorful and it's like on this weird. They leave to go to the countryside, and it's just it feels almost Yellow Submarine. Like I can't fucking explain.
Yeah, there's that weird background guy who like
Yeah.
is being weird, and then he gets off the bus and is like, I'll see you later, and they're like, bye.
Yeah.
He doesn't have anything to do with anything.
I think the first time we see the dad's house,
Oh,
we
that
both
set is insane.
gasped because it was so incredible. You
Yeah,
don't
she
even
gets
see...
home and then like goes out on the balcony, and all the action is done like behind
God.
bifurcated or like panels of glass that kind of separate everyone. It's so
Think
weird.
like, okay, yeah, if you
And
want
then
to...
like a sherbet sky behind them.
Yes, the colors that aren't real at all. So if you want to get an idea of what this dad's house, but you never see the whole house. You see literally just a shot of his balcony, but it is shot through this glass that, like, okay, imagine American Hustle. If you saw that, imagine if they had a glass window in their house that had like panes on it. It's the most 70s shit you've ever seen. And this balcony has an AstroTurf floor, like fake grass floor, and the dad is dressed just like a 70s dude who golfs all the time.
Yeah.
And
his new fiance
the
just
dudes
always
all
has
have-
the scarf
Yes,
blowing.
his fiance always has a wind machine on her. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter where she is, her scarf is always billowing. It's so fucking good. And yeah, the backdrop of the sunset is the most unnatural shade of orange and pink ever. It's so weird. Like, you're instantly just like, everything feels off. Everything's so gauzy in 70s. That like really gauzy 70s lighting where everything kind of looks like it has Vaseline on it.
Yeah. Yeah, there's on their way to the aunt's house, it even has the girls all kind of introduced in little bubbles with their names. It's like a sitcom opening.
It looks like a 70s tampon commercial. It's so good. I mean, he could have done tampon commercials. Who knows? He's a commercial director. That's why everything looks like a fucking weird commercial, but it's a movie. It's so crazy.
I gotta love Mac, the friend who is the fat one, quote unquote, and you're like, is that what fat people were in the 70s?
American movies have this going on too, where you watch a movie from the 70s or 80s and there's like,
Even early 90s, it's like,
Sure,
oh, you're
yeah.
the fat kid, and you're like, what?
she's the character who is like, what's his face from the Goonies? Is it Chunk?
Yeah. Well, he had some weight.
Sure,
I
but
think.
like that's the
But like
that's
Ben
the
in
type she's
the
playing.
It miniseries from
yeah.
1990.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, that he's barely husky, which I think
Yeah.
is exactly the joke I used in my kill count. But still, that's true. He's like,
Yeah.
this is a solid dude.
Yeah, poor Mac, which apparently Mac is for stomach.
Is that what?
Confirmed. That's why she's named Mac. Her nickname.
Is
Stomach. Like
oh,
M-A-C.
stomach.
Right. So
I
that's
see.
why they call it. Because we were confused.
I
We
thought it was like McDonald's, like Big Mac.
Yeah. No.
All right.
So they're all great. I love all the girls in this. They're so fun and cute, and I like them. Like the movie knows their stock character types, and they play that up so hard. And I think that it's a lot of fun. I don't know. It's such a good, fun movie. If you love shit about witches, which everyone does now, witches are super in. And I would love to write a term paper about that. Like, why are witches and horror so popular now? Because I'm sure there's, like you can trace it to like the Me Too movement and stuff. I feel like, I wonder if there's connections in
I wonder,
cinema
'cause, like,
between like witches being popular and like waves of feminism.
Yeah, interesting.
Anyway, if you like shit like that, like American Horror Story, that witch season, which I think is a bad season.
The third
of that
one?
show, yeah,
Yeah,
it's not a good season, but some people really like it
I
because
think most
witches.
people like it, yeah.
So if you like that, if you like that new Sabrina show,
Oh, yeah.
you like just women
You're
doing
right,
witchy
witches
shit.
are hot right now.
Yeah,
What did we go from? Were werewolves ever in?
no
So
vampires.
it was vampires, then zombies.
I feel like zombies and vampires were kind of happening. I think
Well, one
zombies
was-
lapped vampires.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now it's witches.
But yeah, if you like witchy shit, this is
I'm waiting for
your jam.
when Creature from the Black Lagoon is what's hot.
I mean, Shape of
Everyone's-
Water won Best
That's
Picture.
true. You're right.
Yeah. Yeah, he's hot. He went to the Oscars.
Took that Oscar home.
Yeah, he did. I love the whole girl getting eaten by the piano.
Oh, that's great.
That's such a good, like, gory, fun sequence. Yeah, you got blood squirting
That's
all over that room.
Golden
coming out of
Chainsaw.
the piano.
That
Oh,
piano
easy.
eating that girl up, chopping her
Easy.
up.
Oh, it's so great. Yeah. I mean, this movie's so fun. The fact that we've barely talked about the actual movie, I feel like in any other episode would maybe tell you it's a bad movie where there's not much to talk about, but in this one it's like it's too weird and fun to go into.
Yeah.
Because again, it just sounds like Mad Libs. We're like, then she gets eaten by a piano, and then a watermelon's pulled out of a well, but it's a head, and then the head bites someone's butt. It sounds like it literally sounds like our Mad Libs episode that we did.
Yeah, it does.
months ago. Like that's
Did we
the
write
most,
House?
Yeah, right. I think we wrote House on accident. It'd be a bad podcast episode. Like, I want to like flip to my notes and just.
Sure, because like I said, I stopped about 10 minutes in. I think the
I
last thing
know
I
you
wrote
did.
was which cats can close a door.
Yeah.
Because the cat is a witch cat. It's a cat who's a witch.
Sweet is cleaning and looks for bedding. Doll says her name and magics the door shut. There's hair covering Gorgeous in the bath. Logs start attacking Kung Fu. Everything is an illusion. Her aunt climbs into the fridge and comes out in front of the camera and smiles. There's cat music and goldfish coming back to life. Like,
That's
guys.
right, yeah, she would like bite a goldfish and drop it in and it'd come back to
No,
life.
that would be the worst. Like, that's not an episode of anything. That's just me reading stuff. Just me reading a word generator.
Yep.
All right. Oh, I see you eyeballing the you want to open your present?
Yeah, I'm gonna open. No, it's not a present.
That's true,
Presents
'cause
are given.
it didn't-
Prizes are earned.
Oh, okay.
I earned this.
I was gonna
also,
say.
you're
Also,
right,
it wasn't
gift wrapped.
gift wrapped.
So I'm opening this. It's a slide puzzle for me to practice to be on Survivor.
I realized we don't have Vaseline. If you need any to
What about
lube
the
it up.
innards?
I know the innards might.
The innards are gonna be so dry.
Ew.
I'm gonna try. They're gonna chafe. There's gonna be so much
Chafy
friction on the innards when I'm trying
Can you
to.
do the puzzle by the microphones? People can hear.
Yeah.
Yeah, take the little thing out.
Okay, so I'm just gonna.
Ooh.
Oh, you know what?
Is it sliding good? Is it
It's a little chunky.
okay?
So this would take far too long to do on this podcast, but just rest assured, I'm going to destroy this, and then I'm going to go on Survivor and also win.
But yeah, good.
My social game is strong.
Need to train doing puzzles.
I guarantee they do.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I would if I was going to be on Survivor.
Fuck
We talk
yeah.
about Survivor at least once every podcast episode.
It feels like it, right?
Yeah. Guys, Donathan follows me on Twitter now.
Yeah, no, me too, and Dead Meat.
I know.
Yeah.
I want him to be on the podcast. I don't care if he has nothing to do with horror at all, but he has something to do with us, you know?
I got the 1 and the 2 next to each other.
Good. All right. Is that our start?
That'll be it, I guess.
We're going to wrap it up.
That's it for the year.
Yeah, we're off the next 2 weeks.
So, yeah.
Holidays.
We'll be back next year
Yeah.
in 2019.
We have some fun things in store for next year.
We have a lot of interviews that are like
Pending.
supposed to pending
They're
interviews.
pending.
so-
Scheduling interviews is hard.
Very difficult.
Because the people we want to interview are really talented and awesome, and therefore are busy doing awesome shit.
Mm-hmm.
And so it can be hard to schedule things. But yeah, we're working on it.
Yeah.
Got some
It'll be worth it.
surprises I can't say anything about.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
But just let us know if you have any movies you want us to watch.
Yeah,
or
I
any ideas
did.
for
Someone
fun stuff.
emailed, they requested, they're like, oh, either House or some other Japanese movie. And that's when I had my memory jog. And I'm like, oh shit, we should watch House. So I do read your emails.
Yeah. Go ahead and shoot those emails at deadmeatpod@gmail.com.
Because it lets me know that someone out there cares that we reviewed House and is excited. All right. You gonna keep.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You want
I'm
to tell
too busy
us where to
kicking this.
follow you?
Yeah, go ahead and follow Deadmeatpod, Deadmeat James
Oh man.
on Twitter and Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
Am I missing one?
I don't think so. I'm getting distracted
It's
by
really
you doing
fun.
that. You follow me at Carebeck, CareBecc on Twitter and Instagram. And if you want merch, deadmeatstore.com. We got hoodies, we got hats,
We got 'em.
shirts. We've always had shirts, but we now
We
have
still
hoodies
have
and
'em.
hats, and we'll have pins soon. I'm having warehousing issues with the pins. And
Yeah.
figuring that out, it is frustrating.
Yeah, we didn't go to business school.
Oh God,
We went
no.
to film school, which is much less practical. Got
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4 in a row.
Good job.
Fuck yeah. All right. Next week, or no, we won't be here next week. We'll be here next year.
Next year.
And until then, I'm James.
I'm Chelsea.
And this has been the Dead Meat Podcast.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
And Happy New Year.
Yeah, be safe.
Be safe.
Bye.
Be good. Bye.